me pause that. And we don't need to start. Now we'll go back in. Share. Yay. Okay. 34. Okay.
Okay,
What's
so
on the agenda?
we have two things on the agenda that I know of. The first of which is to go over the site plan, no, sorry. Conceptual review. I get in the habit. Conceptual review is the idea that they come to us for help and we give them advice and opinions, and it's free talk, red or green light talking, because when it comes to the site plan review, then it's, you didn't do that, well, forget it. But right now it's, oh, you didn't do this, well, we better think about that and all that. So that's our approach. We haven't done this much before, this group.
Okay.
And so it just so happens that the executive director for TAUNY is here. Now, TAUNY is sponsoring the design of these two art projects, and then the village has the money, or will have the money, to pay for it. So that's how we can put it together, if I understand it right. I'm going to turn it over to Josh Vink. Yes, to present about this program, and then you can ask questions as we go
Do the
on.
minutes after that.
Yeah, we'll do the minutes after.
Just making sure.
Sure. And
Just
then
didn't wanna
second, we have
forget.
to approve minutes from, I don't know, many meetings back. We'll see what we can remember, but we won't make Josh sit through that part.
Okay, perfect.
Yep. So those are the two items that I have. Good.
And to not make you sit too long as well, how much time would you
So
like to do that?
15 minutes, if that's enough.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. And you don't have to drag it out if it's
Yes, of
too
course.
much.
No, I
Yeah,
just want
but
to
mean,
stay within
yeah.
the time frame. Do you want me to sit next to the?
That's up to
computer
you.
and
It's just arrow buttons.
Tap through?
That's fine. Or if you'd prefer to do that, or just say next slide and I can hit the button. So it's up
Probably
to you.
easier if I just
That's perfect.
tap through.
Just throw the owl somewhere else.
So which microphone's
Not
picking it up?
behaving anyway.
Is it the?
It's my laptop, I
laptop
believe.
that's picking up? Okay.
No, you're good.
Okay.
Do whatever you need to with that.
Well, your hard work, let's not break it from the onset here.
Okay.
Yes, good. So you get to be seen as well while you're talking. So that's good.
Okay, so thank you so much for having me. And I look forward to talking to you about some of the ideas that we have for two public art pieces here in the downtown. And just
So, sounded like it.
It is. He's maybe behaving.
So the works were part of some work we've done with an artist by the name of James Gonzalez, and we've been talking with economic development and the Rotary and just some other groups in the downtown and representing the village around some work and prospects for arts and culture here to help bring forward some ideas that could help with some of the initiatives that are happening already and in combination with the village and the initiatives toward revitalization and the New York Forward grant, and in this particular case, the Main Street grant. Now, from what I've been told by economic development and Jenny and Lee, is really this is a project that does fit within the wheelhouse of that grant, which has already been received, and I'll leave it to them to talk about that criteria and how this project might fit within that funding, because that's obviously a really important consideration when you're thinking about using taxpayer dollars for work such as this, and to be able to make sure that everyone understands where that's coming from, and to know that they'll have a say in some respects with the use of it, but first and foremost that the grant is really on par with the scope and the design of this particular these art pieces. And just give you a little bit of background if you haven't been over to TAUNY lately or not familiar with the organization. So really our work is to showcase the culture, traditions of the North Country. And we've got a lot of programming that benefits and is in line with that sort of work. Hey, Barbara. We're just getting started. And some of our programs that you might be familiar with are arts and education. We've got our traditional music and dance, public programs, storytelling. We've got 2 exhibit spaces. We have a folk store. We have a series of arts and education programs as well. And it's really to foster a sense of what is the identity, the traditional identity of folks and stories and ways that we've all lived and made and created arts and culture as an extension of our daily lives in the history of the North Country. And so it's all represented in these types of art forms. And one of our most recent pieces of work was just yesterday, we started a artisan-based culinary arts cafe in the store and in our kitchen. So it really represents the ideas around food making and storytelling around the kitchen and also just our traditional culture. And so we've got a crepe maker by the name of Andre Commandin, who's actually French. So he's got French and French Canadian roots as well. And he's brought that work to TAUNY Center, and it's great to have him. So it's just an exemplary work that has to do with the mission and the vision of TAUNY moving forward. So these art pieces really are an extension of that. And I'll just kind of roll through some of the things that we do. So we do workshops. We have fiber quilt art display right now. We've got traditional visual arts and spotlights for, as you can see, North Country panoramas and geographies in the center. We've got children's events, a meet and greet with an author that happened last week. We've got building dulcimers and other children's programs. And then we've got a concert series happening right now also that represents some of the folk and traditional traditions of music and dance here in the North Country. And so I'll skip forward just a little bit just for time and get to some of the work that we've been doing. So just contextually, I come and moved here 7 years ago from Portland, Maine. And some of the work that I did at a local arts council there was around cultural planning and economic development as an extension of arts and culture and bringing people to downtowns. And so really the idea is that just like restaurants are the new form of entertainment, entertainment is also the new form of entertainment, right? So being able to have people come to areas, thinking about Canton as a corridor for really movement from Watertown and the North Country and the Adirondacks and the Thousand Islands. There's so many opportunities for folks to not just pass through, but to stay and make this region that much more attractive. And I worked at a similar locale in a series of twin cities of 60,000 people in Lewiston, Auburn, Maine, which is just north of Portland. And we did cultural planning work, which really helped to identify ways that we could bolster arts and culture, tourism, and economic development as a means to bring the community together to celebrate all of the different identifications that we have and the expressions therein, and then also to build capital and entrepreneurial activity in the downtown. And so a lot of the work was around National Endowments for the Arts work that we've done through our town, which is really around building master plans that have mixed use and cross-sector partnerships that help to develop these types of ideas. And then from there, you develop big arts and cultural festivals or lights or sculptures or perhaps archways too that bring people to your area. And this is not something that's new. There are many different locales that have embraced this model, including the Innovation District in Boston, downtown Little Rock, Arkansas. And really, it's the idea of that mixed use space that creates affordable, workable living areas that people who are more capitalized and do have perhaps creative design backgrounds want to move there, want to be part of that movement of arts and culture and vibrancy. And so it's a great way to be able to build some of those ideas. And some of the things that have already happened and are being generated out of the Economic Development Office and throughout the town lately fits right in with this particular type of work. So I'll scoot forward and this has numerical value as well. So Americans for Arts, which is one of the seminal arts and cultural research institutions in the country, developed a study that they call the Economic Prosperity Study. And nationally, the arts and culture do benefit GDP and generate $167 billion of economic activity. And so that's creates 4.6 million jobs and $27.5 billion in revenue, state, local, and federal governments. And as you can see from this slide, the expenditures for arts and cultural organizations pretty much match the audience expenditure. So what happens is when people come to these areas and they see concerts and they go to theater and they go to dance and they go to different locales to enjoy entertainment, they spend money, and they spend money at local businesses. They have to transport themselves, they have to stay at hotels. And so it translates into these types of spending across these sectors, from childcare to lodging to clothing, accessories, etc., and translates to $31 per person per event that they go to. And that was like 5 years ago. So I'm sure that number has increased. So it's, the idea is really that the arts and culture generate capital and are a boon to creative economic development in downtowns. And so I'm happy to go further into that, but I want to get into the work that has to do with these sculptures and this archway. So in Lewiston, Auburn, we developed a series of sculptures in the downtown with an artist by the name of Charlie Hewitt. He was a sculpture artist from Lewiston, and he had a large scale piece on the west side of Manhattan on the High Line. And it was a private venture. And as you walk on the High Line on the west side in Chelsea, down into the lower, into the West Village, you can go and you can see the sculpture on this beautiful greenway. And so it's part of this Greenway Park where you walk and you get a chance to see art and culture and activity. It's a hub of an old elevated subway platform that was transferred and transformed into a place that people could mingle, could drive tourism, and also enjoy arts and culture. And so this was the piece that we created in Lewiston, Auburn. It was in a dilapidated downtown area that actually had seen a series of arson fires. And so the artists want to come in and wanted to do splashy, colorful sculptures that were 30 feet high. And we got both mayors who happened to be from two different political persuasions, one a Republican and one a Democrat, from Lewiston, Auburn, to come together and understood the value of this work for the downtown and help drive a lot of people to this area. And we did art walks and we got a chance to really utilize the work. Now, getting to James Gonzalez, who is our artist. He did and is a metal worker. He's currently actually on salary with TAUNY through a grant by the name of Creatives Rebuild New York. And you might have heard of it, but it's basically a grant from a foundation from New York City called the Tides Foundation. And they gave monies to bring 300 plus artists, give them a full salary and benefits for 2 years to basically work for and with nonprofits to make these types of work and to contribute along these principles to locales and build and develop their artistry. And so 9 artists in the North Country received this grant, bless you. And 6 went to the Arts Council, and we got 3 over here at TAUNY. And James was one of our 3 CRNY artists. And he finishes his work and the grant at the end of June. And so that's when we're trying to get this sculpture archway completed. So he had an exhibit in our space, and you can see these beautiful large scale lights. They're like 10 by 10 feet. And they've got these cool metal work silhouettes and images that represent some of the symbols of the North Country and geography and nature. And they're really cool and vibrant, and they pop really nicely. So he started then through this grant also creating bike racks, and there are 2 now in Potsdam. One you can see here across from, right in front of the Three Bears Bakery. So he's got a little stork or what have you there. And there's some information around the CRNY investment and that grant. And then he also did another like Fox that's right across the street from Max Seals there. And he designed a bike rack that we talked about, and we wanted to do perhaps in front of TAUNY in front of 53 Main Street right here across the street. And he wanted to do a little raccoon. So this was his rendering. And then this is the actual bike rack that he created. And so it's a raccoon bike on top of the bike rack. And so we're part of the proposal and application that I submitted is that this piece would go and be a seasonal piece that would be only in the biking months. So we put it up in early spring and then bring it down at the end of fall, and hopefully the town will be able to help us with storage, and we could always store it in the TAUNY Center if necessary, and help us to install it. And we can talk about the specs around how to do that and make sure that it's safe and not vandalized. But it's a nice piece and a good splashy thing. And I can show you some of the specs, which are right here, if you want to look at some more detail, but these are some of the dimensions of it, and it's looking to be like parallel to the road, but we can always work around and what's best to make sure that, you know, the sidewalk is still accessible and it's not, you know, pushing back against any pedestrian traffic, and that the bicyclists are going to be safe and they can park their bikes there with securely. And then the archway is really the next step and the bigger sort of project that I'm looking to get some conceptual review and some feedback on the next steps. But really, what we're looking to do is, bless you, it's going around, engineering scope and design, which is happening now. So I've got an engineer reaching out to Tisdale and also Crawford and Stearns in Syracuse to get an engineering scope and design set for the piece. And columns and the type of steel and the way that it would have to be embedded in the ground to make sure that it's safe and secure. Then we're going to take bids because the grant specifies that you need 2 bids from contractors and or that are associated with the costs, so that you're going and making sure you have the most competitive bid to get the work done. And then the creation by James Gonzalez, he's ready to go as soon as we get the green light to be able to start designing and creating this archway. And then we're hoping that construction and installation will happen before the end of the grant in June. These are some of the specs. So we're looking at it being 15 feet wide. There'll be cage posts that will be into the pavers and the sidewalk. And it's going to be in between Glow and Pear Tree right down the street here in Prentice Lane. And I'll show you some pictures of that in just a second. And in partnership, hopefully, you know, moving forward with the village and economic development. And so here's Prentice Lane, as we know. We can just look out the window if you want to, but here's the picture if we need it. And I did talk to both Glow and Pear Tree, and they are supportive of the project and think it's a good idea. And we're really, yeah, like I said, supportive, so that's great. And then this is the initial rendering of the archway. So it'd be 2 steel columns embedded in the pavers. From what I understand, 3 feet from each side of Glow and Pear Tree is like a shared space that both the village and the
It's a right of way.
it's a right of way, yeah. And it's not like a road, so we don't have to necessarily worry a lot about like fire lanes or trucks having to go through, is what I understand, but it is village owned property. And that's the initial design schematic. And then this is the most updated version. And James really focused on a lot of the natural habitat and geography and wildlife and way of life here in the North Country. So you can see, you know, the canoes on the river, and you can see some of the wildlife and the flowers and the local, you know, birds and some of the, you know, the wheat and all that. So it's some really symbolic representation of Canton without saying Village of Canton, as art can do. And it's splashy and it's colorful and it's bright, and it would be something that we'd hope to be permanent, so that it would withstand the test of time and be in these colors and be able to, you know, represent the vision of the artist and representation of Canton in an integral way, in an, you know, honest and aesthetic way. And so, you know, thinking about this, you know, the design being of 15 feet and all that, that's basically the scope of the project. And I'm happy to take questions. I'm happy to hear from you all about any feedback you have and steps that I would need to take to make sure that I secure all, you know, permitting or making sure the specs are right, and that we get full feedback from constituents, from the town, from everyone, to make sure that we're all behind it as much as we can be behind it, to realize it in a good and, you know, honest way. So yeah, so thanks for your time.
So I would, the 2 of you were online. If you'd like to ask questions, now's the time.
I'm wondering, Joshua, if you know much about any further plans for development of the Prentice Alley beyond the archway? And if that is involved at all with the project or is part of the project that includes the archway?
There are some ideas, but there's nothing being like officially planned. So people
Can I
talk.
just interject?
Yeah, of course. Bob.
Sorry. I know that there's money from the Main Street grant to do some streetscape stuff, and I think the plan was to have some seating and lighting in there. I mean, there is a plan, not a formal plan, but there is an idea, a concept going forward to improve the whole space back there.
Yeah, some of the things that were talked about were like wheat paste portraits, paintings, perhaps on the walls that could last for 5 years, but then they kind of run off in the weather. Some bistro tables perhaps in that area. People
A
come,
bench,
benches, come sit, hang out, grab a coffee and hang out in the lane. So those are some of the initial ideas, but I think again, nothing formalized.
But it leaves potential.
Yeah,
Potential for all
yes,
kinds
and
of-
funding.
And I just wanted to hear what you had to say about storage for the bike rack. That seems to be kind of an issue as far as putting some things out for people, amenities out for people to use, and then that need to be removed, particularly in the winter. So could you just outline the storage possibilities there for us again?
Yeah, I mean, Tony would be happy to store it if necessary in that we could just put it in our basement. I'm sure that would be fine, as long as we can fit it through the door and all that. But we were hoping, because I know in Potsdam that the Public Works does take away the bike racks in the off season and stores them for, I think the Arts Council or whoever is responsible for like the design and rendering, what have you. So if we could have something like that, it would just be helpful to Tawny and helpful to the project. But not a make or
DPW
break
has
thing.
agreed.
Sorry?
I said DPW has agreed
Ah, great.
to help with that.
It's-
I don't know if you could hear from the back. Did you hear that our own DPW has agreed that they would help with that? I don't know how far.
I'm sorry, yes, yeah, I know.
That's my
Everybody's
concern.
problem with
And
the
everybody's
owls.
polite. They go, nod, nod, nod. I didn't hear a word you said.
And now I think it's behaving, but it's too late.
I know.
It's dark.
Satan, thy name is technology.
Well, there you go.
it's all about this, but-
Oh, yeah, it's moving around. Whoever's talking is trying to find them.
Is it really?
Yeah, it just moved. Yeah, see, that's.
Oh, I guess it did connect.
Yeah.
It like sort of connected.
Oh, boy.
It's-
Anyway.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna move him back on the
Yeah.
table then
There we go.
and see
We need a more.
if he behaves.
That's right, yeah. That's right.
We'll see, maybe he'll behave
Oh,
now.
yeah, look, it's picked up all kinds of things. Okay. Me and, I look like, the guy, Jeff Dunham's Muppet. or-
Walter.
Like that. Better happy up here. That's what that says. Now that I'm online.
Okay.
Okay, Chris, what would you have?
I really don't have anything right now. This is just
Mhm.
phase. I know there's a bunch of downtown regulations and signage. I know we do deal, would this be considered signage? Would this be
So that's the good part. It's not a sign.
Art.
Yes, it's
art?
not
Oh,
a
so
sign
it doesn't
because it's,
fall under those, and I was just like
Right.
above windows, below windows, if it
yeah,
doesn't fall.
it doesn't because it's non-commercial and it's not advertising any particular thing.
Has no
and-
words in it.
Yep, and even if it were logos, there's no logos that mean anything. It's not, there's no golden arches.
Okay, so that, I mean,
No,
Yes,
it's a
so
sign.
that helps us a great deal.
Yeah,
It's
that-
just- And so, and it's new territory. This whole thing is new
Yeah,
for planning and anything else, and so we go with the most common thing, which is a site plan and all that, so it almost doesn't need a site plan. It almost doesn't, except it's something that is just new. It's gotta go through, and you're just gonna have to do it. So, but.
And
yeah,
do we foresee problems with that area being part of the historic overlay section of
I
the village?
Yeah, I don't think so, and I think that actually encourages it because of the artsy feel to the historic overlay. And this looks old style enough that it's not out of time, out of sync, it's old looking bicycles. And I'm thinking Rushton canoe. I don't know if that's really what's going on, but that's sort of the Rushton look.
we have folk art. I mean, I
Yeah,
think that's the
yeah.
vibe I get. It's
Yeah.
like folk art.
And so it's old, it's odd that it would be colored. This is new as opposed to the old, but I mean, as long as he knows how, this is my biggest concern is how permanent the color is. If it's a baked on kind of thing, and it would be good for long term, and then how crucial is it? If it all wore off, it still is metal. It still looks like something, and I don't know. That's my concern though, is the paint on it. How durable it would be.
And whether he could redo it even too,
Right,
if it
yeah.
washed away, or whether some of the pieces that we have in the center that are now like in our basement, because we're transitioning with them, they have like aged and they've become a little more brittle and they've like in some senses like oxidized, so there's some rust on them.
Patina.
And it actually makes them
Yeah,
look,
yeah.
It's like a copper roof.
yeah, it makes it look nicer.
Wabi sabi kind of thing.
Gives a character, you know?
It's like a copper roof. It starts out copper, but then that's that patina.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. The fire people, well, it comes through the mayor. They don't
And
think they
we've
would
checked-
drive through, they wouldn't drive through that alley. If there's a fire, that's the last place you wanna be.
They
Yeah,
actually
and they
have
don't
checked with the whole fire
And we've been
thing.
through-
That came out at our meeting last night, and
And
they're never driving a truck in there.
no, they won't.
Okay.
As long as, I mean, there's always gonna be, you can always walk in there, which is what it would be.
There's no need to, sorry about that. It's gonna be twice more unless I do something. Now. Puts that out of its misery. Yeah, so, and fire is a concern, because that's always a concern, but we've been through that one.
What about the bike rack? Like, I'm sure you've gone through like offsets on like how far back it has to be from the road and all that.
The
That's right.
DOT
They-
has been
they-
contacted.
Yeah, and there's 122 inches between the rack and the front of the building. I noticed on the dimensions here. So that's 10 feet plus. Now subtract out the length of the bike from that 10 feet, there's still clearance to walk past through there. I hadn't seen that number before until this slide came up, so that makes me feel a lot better. Yeah, that's a good thing. And snow removal isn't an issue. Usually we talk about snow storage, but that's not an issue for that. And they can drive the snow plow, the sidewalk plow in there anyway, under the arch or whatever happens there.
Mm.
So I do think that our only concern is what the engineering study says about what it takes for a post, cage post there actually.
Okay.
And I notice it's 24 by 24, which should be stable enough for something. It's only 15 feet tall. Half of that is open, space. It's not like a solid thing.
Mhm.
For wind pressure, and the wind is never very strong for very long anywhere in Main Street. It swirls around, but it doesn't come crosswise into it, and lengthwise on Main Street where it could pick up speed won't hit it anyway. So that part, I think they won't worry too much. And neither building is gonna have it connected. That way it's clearly the village's property.
Mhm.
And that's who we think will own it. That's the other thing, is who actually owns this. TAUNY is paying for the design, and the village is paying, well, through the grant, is paying for the materials. And I assume the installation. That may be that's probably the biggest question. Who's gonna pay to put in the footers? Yeah, okay, that would be
And
the
I would
biggest one.
guess that that's part of the.
The
grant.
village, yeah, the village would pay
But
for it, or
I don't know
the,
that for sure.
I believe that fits under the auspices of the grant, but it would be a question for Lee.
and all we're
double
looking
check.
for is questions now. We've got answers, now we're looking for questions. Otherwise, it just seems like it's such a reasonable thing, it's just good. You had done a lot of groundwork here. See, ordinarily this meeting is to say, now you gotta talk to the fire
Right.
department, you gotta talk to DOT, and you gotta do this.
Well, and
so-
that's in anticipation of that James is under contract through the end of June. And
Oh, so yes, we've
So
no
that-
fooling
that
around
time
here, we
is
gotta
not-
be
is a-
serious.
the thing, so we tried to anticipate as much.
Yeah. That's a good
in
thing,
advance
because,
as
yeah,
we
he
could.
is, that's
Mhm.
why you're paying for it. He hasn't cut it yet, by any means.
He hasn't got it, no.
Yeah.
Do you have any recommendations for additional engineering firms other than Tisdale?
The timing is tough.
Yeah, only Brooks Washburn, he's an architect rather than engineer, and
Mhm.
he does the work for the hospital. Here, he's in Potsdam, Brooks Washburn.
Okay, yeah.
And-
It's Labella now. They were bought out by Labella.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's
Is
still
he still
there,
there?
but it was bought by
Okay.
Labella.
Love that a lot.
And
Okay.
there's also C2A. They're engineers, right? Are they engineers or architects, Barb? Do you know?
No, I see two, I think it's
C2A.
engineers.
They're right
But I'm
here
not
on Main Street.
But I think
C2A.
C2AE.
AE.
Yep.
Because you need competitive bids,
Yeah.
is that right?
Two
Yeah.
At least
design
two.
bids and then two
And
construction
just in
bids.
general, the engineering is, I mean, just in general, engineering services have been slowing down a lot of projects because there's just not enough,
Mhm.
Right.
so.
Well, that's too bad. All
Yep,
things.
but.
This should be, there, I'm sure somewhere there is a schedule that says this high, this wide,
Right,
this big.
it shouldn't, it
Yeah,
shouldn't,
shouldn't-
yeah,
It'll come up in a,
someone hasn't have to reinvent the wheel there.
no, there's gonna be a number somewhere that they will easily find out, and then you have choices, yes.
They're from out of the area, but are Barton and the Judas engineers?
Yeah, but I think that's a big concern, I mean, yeah, they're in,
Too big.
outside of, they're Albany. I think.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
I think
I
too
was
big
just
for this
trying to
size
think of
project.
Other engineers that we've
I
worked
mean,
with.
they are,
Anyway,
there are wastewater and our people and
Yeah.
our stormwater.
Washburn became.
Labella, Labella. Associates, I think it is. They're on Depot Street in Potsdam.
Okay,
22.
nice.
Jenny, you are a.
Sweet 19.
I'm going home.
I've worked for Brooks before,
Oh,
so
yeah.
that's the only reason I know the address.
He's come before this board many times and is very easy to work with, and, so, I can't think Tim Nolan was very comfortable with all the things, so he didn't feel it's necessary for him to be here tonight. So I agreed with him. And so I think if you don't have any questions, we think we're feeling good. Now, we do have to have a real site plan review. So essentially you'll do this again with, and then you'll have the engineering study or plan for the posts, things like that, and we can schedule it for as soon as I can make a new meeting. Because you don't have much other than the engineering thing. That would be kind of, but a schedule now, we'll schedule as early as we can for a date. That'll give you time to maybe get to it. If you can't, we'll see what happens, you know.
No, I hope
It's
to,
posted.
yeah,
I would
so.
think it shouldn't take long. Yeah, other than, as you say, there's just a backlog.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
But
But,
maybe the simplicity of a project like this, like it's not a hospital.
right,
Yeah.
right. It's gotta be an easy answer when
Right.
you have
For
the
somebody,
stamp. If you don't have the stamp, we are out of luck. But yeah, that would be the best I think we can do.
And the
Um,
site would be, that would be the time the public would. could
Yes,
come
yeah,
and
we have to make
comments
that.
and
So we make
questions.
a 10 days before the meeting, it has to show up in the paper. And the closest people within owners of properties within 100 feet get a letter that says, this is what's happening. Well, depends how we do, it, but basically it's to invite them to a meeting. It's always a public meeting, is what we say in this letter. All meetings are open to the public, but in this case, it impinges on you more significantly than others, so you're being invited specially to this meeting, and we don't tell them much about what's going on, because if you give a little information, then they went, oh, one time it was a person who wants to be a gun dealer. Well, lights come on, oh, we're gonna have weapons and stuff. Well, it's a person who is a federal referral person, and you never see a gun. They just say this person's okay, and they transfer the gun, that kind of stuff. But so there's no way to give just a little bit of the story without people getting the wrong idea. So we give no story, just this is the project for what's going on here, and you're invited for public comment. And that's what will happen. And you'll probably get a letter too, because Tony's gonna have an ownership position in that as well. And within 100 feet. But it means that it's working as it should. That we're going as we should when you hear that. When it goes that way, and I can't see anybody having any problem unless there's a competing artist who says, I get a better idea. You have to, what's at the other end of the alley, so we could have it to it.
Sure.
But at any rate, that's what we would expect next. So if you're all set, I'm all set. If everybody else is all set, and but we still have to approve some old minutes here. You could sit for that entertainment, but I wouldn't if I were you. Yes, yep, thank you.
Thank
No,
you.
thank you so much.
Well, for your time and all that and the odd time of day and all, but
No, that's.
we'll keep it
a
moving.
great project.
We'll do our
Thanks,
best.
Barb.
Yes.
Great to meet you.
Yep. So I'm from Keyser Falls, Maine, which is
Oh, wow,
just
yeah,
across
yeah.
Route 25. Yeah.
Okay.
Keyser Falls doesn't exist anymore. It was a mailing district with two towns in two different counties. They decided to split it up, so it's now called Porter and Parsonsfield. But we still call it Keyser Falls. Still- Yeah, so, and I, Bates is my family college, although I went to Colby.
Oh, nice.
And,
We're on.
You taught at Colby?
Yeah,
Oh,
Bates.
Oh, at Bates, oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so while you're at Lewiston and all that. Yeah.
Nice, all the
Community
connects
planning?
here, for sure.
Yeah,
That's
so
really cool.
old main connections here.
Yes,
Yep.
absolutely.
Any objections to me adding the copy of the presentation to the, like, just the slides to the minutes?
No, it's totally fine.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I will do so.
Yes, we really like that. That's a good referral thing. And what the Department of State wants is that everybody has a chance to tell everything in these meetings. They
Yes.
want as much exposure and all the information possible, so this really helps.
I will send you this note. Eric Backus and C3G might be another option for engineering. Kara put that on the chat, but I didn't see it.
Awesome.
Yeah, you not.
I will email that to you.
All right.
Cool.
Thanks
Okay.
again.
Yep,
Have
thank
a
you.
good night, guys.
You too. Now, we think we have minutes from several different meetings.
C3G. Okay, well, we definitely have October 17th. Is that the right date? It's October something.
Something that's close.
Okay.
Now that was,
Or I'm sorry, December 17th
oh.
and October. I sent 2 sets out. And then I saw today that there are 3 more listed as drafts.
Oh, dear.
They're on the website if you guys are at your computers and want to take a second and look. But they are on, if you go to cantony.gov and at the top, .gov. And at the very top, there's this little thing that says government and you go to public records.
Hmm.
It's so much fun trying to find things. Village planning board agendas and minutes. So what you'll see here, you see it, you guys can see it up there, is we have draft minutes from December 14th, October 4th. Those are the 2 sets I sent out. I noticed today, May 10th, February 8th,
Oh, geez.
and then November 17th, 2022, all still say draft.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if I missed something, if anybody remembers going over minutes, but I usually remember to update them. So I think it odd that they're not updated. I don't know if we've just been forgetting. So,
Can you actually open it right there?
Yeah.
If you click draft minutes?
Yeah.
Let's see what this one is.
this,
Yeah. See what
so November 17th,
We did that, huh?
2022. Hang on just a sec. Let me move some things out of the way because I'm out of room here. Okay, so this was site plan review for 29 Main Street. That was Josie's or Sylvia's, the issue with the wall, the half wall, and that discussion.
Okay.
The other one, the next one was February 8th, 2023. That one was a conceptual review of 2 Main Street. That was the Napa Auto Parts and the discussion of the siding.
Mm-hmm. So as conceptual review, there's nothing to approve now.
Right, we just have to approve the minutes themselves that they're accurate.
Okay. Okay.
So that's really all that we're doing in any of these cases is that the minutes would be accurate.
Right. So let's do this one to have it off the table. To
Which-
get it, this conceptual review, the one for
2 Main
2
Street?
Main, yep.
Okay, so this was, I don't know if you wanna read them or how you guys wanna do
So,
this.
Let's, so this was the one
you see it
where
okay?
where the code enforcement officer had signed off and issued the permit and forgot to notice that the siding was metal.
Right,
And so we said, oh, well, he's got to change. Well, in the end, it went through the town board or the village board. And it was allowed stay with the metal siding, mostly because it's not a historic building. It's right on the edge, and it was actually a mess. So, to be fair to everybody, mistakes happen, but it hasn't ruined the village because of where it is, so we're okay on that one.
That's
Um,
interesting because it doesn't. I'm sorry, I'm
Yeah.
not really supposed to like
Yeah.
say much, but it doesn't, what the village board didn't meet with
Didn't come
you
to that
guys
either.
did,
No, well, they had to,
but they must have overruled it.
they overruled us because
I was
um,
curious when I looked at
yeah,
the
they
building the
said,
other day.
he's already got it, $60,000 worth of expense here.
Siding, yeah.
So, yeah, and it happened.
Okay, so that's those meeting minutes.
to defend the code, yeah, yeah. So we tried to push it. We were pushy, but it
8,
didn't work. A discussion about
23.
potential application from East Main regarding a change to the freestanding sign. They didn't do anything.
That was just,
Yeah.
we knew it was coming. That
Yeah,
was
and
it.
he didn't do it. So this one is, yeah, it's an official minutes with no actual official action.
Right.
Mhm.
So, but it still needs a motion and a
needs a
second
motion.
to approve.
Yep, Chris wasn't there that time.
I was not.
No, so,
I was gonna say, I don't remember this one, so.
yeah, that's a good thing. If you did remember it, then that's really trouble. If one of you would like to, move it and the other second it, I'll vote.
I'll move it.
Okay, thank you, Jenny.
Second,
Yep. One of those bloodbath battles there. Good. Aye.
In favor. Carried. All right. Do
Okay,
you want to look back at November 2022?
that one,
That was the Josie's half wall issue. That was an actual site plan review.
was, and, she didn't do what we said. Be removed, yeah, we want it removed, she didn't do it. Referral, that was right. Yeah. Boy, yeah, a lot has not happened since then.
And then we did 3 East Main. That was the wooden fence at the Silas Wright House.
Oh, yes, and that was approved. That, we
Yes.
do have to approve these minutes then. Yes, because that, even though the first one, the wooden one, we didn't allow, the second one is vinyl that we did allow.
Right.
However, it looked exactly like a true picket fence made out of wood, but
I
it just doesn't
remember.
have the peeling and splitting. So we did approve that. And Jenny yep, okay. And sign things.
17.
Oh, St. Lawrence University, Board of Appeals, okay, that's unimportant to us.
And then it was
Adjourn,
just
yeah.
adjournment, yeah.
So I would say that we know more than anybody else if these are right.
And you guys have the option to say, we want to read them through. We don't want to do it right now. I just wanted to make sure people knew.
Well,
That
and I
they were on the
appreciate that. We
table.
want this to be,
Yeah.
buttoned up. Do you feel comfortable enough to vote for this one, or would you rather read it and make changes?
I move we accept the minutes.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Yep, yeah, I think that it's, I agree. Yes, yay.
Perfect.
I could even say no, it passed.
That's true.
I had some
All
feeling
right,
of
what else we
powerlessness.
got? Then May 10th, 2023.
This one was,
This was just the conceptual review for 3.5 East Main.
oh, for the church.
Oh, for the roof?
The slate
Yes,
roof,
yes.
yes.
And this wasn't even about the church. This was just a meeting that we had. Yeah, this is important. In this meeting, we said you could use the new synthetic slate because it looks like the old stuff. But it has to be that good. And in fact, they did it. The church did. It cost 8 times as much as asphalt, but that's worth it. in the end, it lasts forever. So they'll never do it again. So let's see, yep. They came after. No, he came. Was her husband. Is that right, Beekman?
Yeah, Pete,
Yeah, he's the one that, is that,
Yep, he
okay.
presented. he's also on the ZBA
Ah,
now. I don't know if he was at the time.
I see, okay, yep, so, and that was, yeah, that was a good discussion.
10, 23.
Charles wasn't- Or he was, but that's the end of it. Was Charles here for that? I don't think Charles. was
Yeah.
here for that one,
Yeah,
but-
he made the motion.
Yeah, but then, I've seen him occasionally, he said, hey, I could get back on the board. So, but
Did he
he's-
move back?
No, I don't think so, but he's got properties here.
He's still working and
Yeah.
stuff in the area, doing a lot. But.
Yeah. So,
So from 5, 10, 23. It's up to you guys.
yep, if one of you wants to approve it, or, yeah, Chris could this
Yeah,
time,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
haha, Chris beat you to it.
Second it.
Any seconds it, thank you, Jenny. Yep, I'm in favor. Yep, okay.
I'm in favor. Aye.
Aye,
Great.
Here we go.
And then the two that I've sent out. I know there are changes to December, but if you guys wanted to tackle October 4th first.
Yes, let's look at the October.
10/4/23. Draft minutes. All right, so this was special use permit for 117 Minor Street. That was the,
I know this was the, storage of
construction.
construction stuff at the hockey rink.
yep.
Yeah.
And then the pre-application meeting for subdivision request.
Mm.
That was just letting you guys know what he was planning on doing. And then sign review for 17 Park, that's the EMC at the church.
Yeah.
And that ended up going to
CBA,
ZBA.
that's right, they did.
So those are the three things, and Barry, you actually did these notes.
Yeah, boy,
So,
so.
I hope you don't disagree with that.
Well, that's right, let's see, make sure, but I'm a dingbat, I could have put something really stupid in here.
I did
Been
double
authorized,
check, though.
specialized, yeah, okay, yeah, I agree. And those things, yes, okay, so, anyone, no, Chris, okay, Chris is on it for, making the motion. Jenny's nodding like it's a second,
Second.
Yep. Okay, and Kara and I
Aye.
don't. I do. All right,
Alright.
very good.
All right, and then the last set is from December. Look at us getting through these.
Mhm.
December 14th, I did, Barry emailed me today and said, there are a couple places that this needs to be changed. Anywhere it says brewery, brewery, will be changed to brew pub. That's just a matter of, for us, semantics, but it is important to note the difference, and that was requested by the applicant. And so there were a couple. Oh, because I'm looking at the ones online, I'm like, I'm sure I changed these. It's because
Because it's
I,
online,
that's
yeah.
my copy, not this copy.
Yeah.
So there are a couple places that'll be adjusted. But other than that, you guys can feel free to, if you haven't looked them over already.
So the idea is a brew pub allows you to serve food and beer that you brew there. A
Yes.
microbrewery, no food, and a restaurant, no beer. So this is the in-between, and that's why it's microbrewery is the right term. Brew pub is the right term.
Brew
Yeah.
pub is the right
Right
there.
term for this. And so, Gary Hammond was concerned that we would have the wrong information and then it
Right.
wouldn't go through right. So this would make it right.
Right.
So brew pub, okay. Seeker, no, yeah, burn, yep. Village planning board, no setbacks, require 3 feet. Yeah, variance. Yeah, 70%. So it's coming to the ZBA.
Next Wednesday.
A week, yep, in a week.
I can scroll down. That G, so G is going to be completely changed. I believe it says, well, I can bring it up. I can tell you what I changed it to. That made more sense. Right here. Okay, so I changed G to say it was acknowledged that this project will not be serving as a restaurant. The intent of the project is to serve as a brew pub.
Perfect.
That was
That's a
all
nice
that he
fix.
said, and then I did change brewery down here, and Jenny, I fixed your last name too. I misspelled it once, only once, but but right here, you made the motion to approve the site plan for the proposed, I changed brewery to brew pub. And then I do need to change the word brewery to brew pub at the beginning. Other than that, there are no changes, but I don't know if anybody has any changes to request.
I like it. But that's me.
No, I don't see anything to change,
Great,
aside from what you've already noted.
right?
Good. And same with the applicant. He had gone over these draft notes beforehand and sent me the email,
Yep.
which I forwarded on. And so he's proofed it carefully. He also was concerned about the setback description. I said that it would be to the slab, and in the minutes, but in the meeting, we talked about to the wall. I think the ZBA is gonna talk to the vertical wall too, and not worry
Okay.
about the slab. But we put in slab just because it's the furthest feature. Bless you. See, she even sneezed in.
Everyone's
Yeah.
sneezing.
Yep, now that's power of suggestion. So did we finally approve this one?
Not
No,
yet.
not yet, okay.
Do we have a
We had
motion?
no problems, other than.
Other
what I
than
was
the
saying.
corrections
Yep,
that have
yep,
been
Yep,
made.
so. Mhm. Go ahead, one of us can.
I move to accept them.
Okay,
Second
thank you. Thank you, Jenny. Chris, vote? Yep, okay. Both signify by show of hands this time, in case we had to count.
Favor. Carried. Perfect.
Okay. So now they're gonna need a site plan review for this, and so we might see if we can make a meeting next month. Now, mid-March would be best for me.
I'm going to be out of town from the 15th to the 21st, if that matters.
15th to 21st.
I believe I'll be out of town those dates as well.
Right for Salute, so I imagine
Oh,
any
I
of us
see, I see, yeah.
related to that are
And I
probably
think-
not gonna be here.
And I have 27 and 28, I think, that I have to be gone. It's hard to meet on a Tuesday, isn't it? A Tuesday. Oh,
I
look
am
at
not
this.
available Tuesday.
No,
This
yeah.
is my schedule.
Look at this, okay.
Now you can see everything I have going on,
Wow.
but whatever. There's nothing private in my life.
But the 14th may be too soon. We can't get.
That's what I'm
papers. Yeah,
wondering.
so another week.
But then if we push it out, then you guys are not available
I'll
this
be
this
Right,
week.
That week.
The
Yeah.
22nd.
So we could go out. But Barry, you're unavailable. You
Well,
said
so I think the 28th would be okay.
the 28th?
Yes.
Monday, Thursday. Does that affect anyone?
Well, so Wednesday looks good. We often meet on Wednesdays, don't we?
Sometimes it depends on if it's available. The second Wednesday and third Wednesdays are always booked for village and town board meetings. But the fourth Wednesday is usually free.
Well, how does that look to people? Fourth Wednesday of March? Jenny says, okay.
Yeah, Wednesdays would be better for me than
Wednesdays,
Tuesdays or
okay.
Thursdays.
Yeah.
I just need to be out of here by 6 on
Okay.
Wednesdays, if that's possible.
Can we start meeting at 5 instead of 5:30, or is that a?
On a
Yes.
Wednesday, yes.
Yes, oh, that'll help.
So we
Yep.
could do 5 to 6.
Yep, 5 to 6, Wednesday, what's the date we finally
The
settled on?
28th.
The
28th.
27th,
27th,
27th
Yeah.
of March.
okay.
Okay.
But-
Save that as
So
is.
I do have to check for this one thing. I need continuing ed hours too, but I don't think they meet on Wednesday. I think it's Monday, Tuesday. Go
March
to Watkins Glen,
Oh my,
yeah.
yeah, 5 PM. We'll
should
want
give
to
it up.
check with Josh
Mhm.
to see if he's gonna be available.
Right. Yeah, that would be a good, and that moves it along pretty fast so that they get a chance to
Do their engineering.
Yeah,
stuff.
their engineering and get done before June.
Right.
Yeah, I wonder how long it takes to make that. You know, when the artist starts cutting, how long is it gonna take them?
Depends on,
Yeah. And
it also depends on material
and-
lead time and stuff.
think of it, if he makes one mistake. Gets
Right.
started over again, you know, or, oh no, now it's gonna be this.
That canoe is gonna be a banana.
That's right.
Okay, cool. I'll get that out on the website a little later, not quite yet. Because we want to make sure that it will actually work. It's a site plan review. Does it actually require a public hearing?
Mhm,
Okay, it
yeah,
does.
it does.
So that will all have to go into place at least 10 days prior, and because of publishing lead times, I need at least 3 weeks. It's crazy.
26th and 27th for me.
Oh, so the 27th does not work.
Oh. About
All
the,
right,
about the 25th, is that a month, is that
that's a Monday.
Monday, the 25th?
I personally do not have anything scheduled that day yet.
Would that be possible? Monday, the 25th?
That works.
Oh, I just gotta check complete streets, hang on.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Are-
that's the third
are
Monday of the
they-
month.
Is that the third Monday? That's the fourth Monday. Complete Streets is usually the second Monday.
Mm,
All of these schedules.
yeah.
Oh, can't hear you, Kara.
Yeah, the fourth Monday should be fine.
Okay.
The 25th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Still at 5, or do we want 5:30 now that we're moving to Monday?
I can do either.
Good with
Others-
that.
5? Yep.
Five
Jack
That's
says-
good.
All right.
Oh, boy, this is a lot easier than emailing, I'll tell you.
472 emails later.
Yeah, that's right.
Monday, the 25th.
Yes, Monday the
Okay.
25th.
Change it.
Slide that over. Great.
Excellent. Okay, so I don't know of any other business that we have, and since we don't have the code enforcement officer bring anything new up, I guess we have to finish. Okay, so one more motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Chris beat you to it. Okay.
Second.
Good, okay. And when I look at that, you don't see me, this is terrible.
And
Okay.
time is
wanna see
6:32.
Okay,
Thanks,
well,
everybody.
thank you
Thank
very
you,
much
Thank you.
for making the effort. to
You
do
all.
this. Very important.
Have a good night.
Kind of excited about this arch thing. We'll be the only ones with one like that.